y'all, it's Catherine, and we're back with Shuffle the Podcast, and I'm here with Cait.
That's me, Cait, the critic with a heart of gold, coming at you in beautiful Permanent Record Studios in beautiful Austin, Texas, on beautiful South Congress. And Kat, we have a fresh face with us in the Shuffle studio today. Would you like to introduce her so everyone can say hello?
Yes, fresh face to the podcast, but not new to Shuffle. Jackie, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Jackie, and I'm a writer and sometimes editor on Shuffle Online. And I would not say I'm fresh-faced because it's disgusting outside.
Well, thanks so much, Jackie. We're happy to have you on. And, of course, we always want to keep people updated with all the cool stuff that we're doing. You're a cool person. I assume you've done cool things. So what have you been up to lately?
At the time of recording, last night, I was at the Game of Thrones live concert experience. The composer for the show, Ramin Djawadi, he has been traveling and touring. The cool thing is that he has a few soloists on vocals and different instruments, but the actual orchestra that played was local from Texas. It's really cool to give local musicians kind of like a bigger platform. And they had a lot of cool visuals going on, and there were scenes from the show on the screen. So it was like kind of an all sensory experience, and it wasn't just like a night listening to classical music.
Yeah, I've had like a pretty crazy week since we last talked with you guys. I went and saw the advanced screening of Life Itself, and it impacted me very, very deeply. You all saw my Oscar Isaac thirst tweets, so that was a religious experience pretty much. I went and saw The Old Man and the Gun on Monday, so that would be like a couple days before current time of recording. I will get into that later. It was so good. And then I hung out with Kat, and we went to the FOMO factory together. We double dated that day. A work date, double date.
So we went to tacos and tequila. I had only been there once before, and unfortunately we didn't have tequila, but we had some mimosas. Well, no, yeah, that's champagne.
Dude, can you imagine like a tequila mimosa? That's like actual white girl wasted.
Yeah. Yeah, but that was good food. I wanted to eat a lot more, but I was trying to contain myself.
Yeah, you couldn't have the brunch sweats when you're taking pictures.
Yeah, I did that question that you obviously do because you want to eat more. When I was like, "Is anyone getting dessert?" And then Victor looked at me like, "Just go get some if you want some."
Very sly.
Yeah, he calls me out all the time. So he was like, "Just go get it." I was like, "Fine, I'll go get it." And I think Ryan, Cait's significant other, he went up there and was like, "I'll go with you." Or he got his own thing. I was like, "Okay, I'll go, I guess."
Yeah, you never have to tell Ryan twice. Ryan is not a classy lady. He will always go up when he feels like going up.
Yeah. I don't know why. Usually I've been doing that too. I think just because it was our first go, I didn't want you to see my beastly side.
We spend like a lot of time together professionally, though, especially in this room. Like, I know, Kat.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, but you don't see me eating all the time.
Well, your get hype thing was eating, so that was a giveaway.
You have outed yourself.
That's true. And I'm not one of those fake people who also like they're like, "Oh, I like to eat a lot," and then you actually go eat with them and they eat a salad, or they're like, "Oh, I'm really full," and I was like, I'm like halfway done and I'm gonna eat all of this. I hate those friends that are well, I don't hate those friends, but I don't like those people because I'm like, you faked me out that you actually eat a lot and you don't.
I have to eat every 2 hours just because I feel like I'll be too hungry if I don't, not for any medical reason.
That's why Jackie's my friend and on Shuffle Online. Yeah, so then we went to the FOMO factory and we took a lot of Instagrammable pictures. By the way, Cait had the best poses. I look all weird, and then there was like an outside situation, so I started sweating. So there was one where I told Victor to take a photo of me and I'm just like boob sweat, and I'm just like, what the fuck? I couldn't come out, and then Cait was all doing the voguing and hers came out good.
I mean, boob sweat is the worst kind of sweat.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It's true, the struggle.
Yeah. But I remembered what I did before I met you. I went to go see The Predator. Did not like it. Have a lot of thoughts. Yeah, it's another Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom situation. So if you heard that podcast on episode 1, it's a little bit less dire than that, but still. And then Saturday I actually had a whole day off, which never happens. So I just did some boring stuff. I've been working out with my roommate 3 days a week. Surprise for all the eating I do. And so just worked out and chilled all day, which was super nice. So we thought it'd be fun to do Inside the Shuffle Studio like we did on our first podcast to get an introduction to Jackie, get to know her a little bit better and what she likes, and you can kind of get a feel.
We want you to cop a feel with us.
You don't get a feel.
I was going to say, you can get a feel for her, and I was like, oh, nope.
Hashtag me too.
Might leave that in there. You can get a feel for Jackie. All right, Cait, you want to start us off and get to know Jackie?
Yeah, absolutely, Jackie. I would love to get a feel for Jackie. So, now this is a very important question inside the Shuffle Studio. Green or red salsa?
It kind of depends on what I'm eating. I would veer more toward green, but if it's just like scrambled eggs or something, it would probably be red.
Diplomatic.
Yeah. I was green, Cait was red, and now you're both.
Yeah.
Good medium. All right, so coffee or no coffee?
Coffee, absolutely.
Iced or hot?
Hot.
All right. Every day?
Except cold brew, because then it doesn't get all diluted from the ice.
Let's see. What is your favorite curse word?
So normally I would say fuck, but I also have been saying shithead a lot recently when I'm angry at people. So that's my current number one.
Where did that come from?
Don't know. I just started saying it, and then I was like, I guess this is a word I say now.
Yeah, I like it.
And so, of course, you've worked with Shuffle for some time before, but what is your favorite Shuffle event that you've ever covered?
I think Jaws on the Water this past summer.
So fun!
Yeah, Cait went to that too, right?
I didn't go on behalf of Shuffle. I just went as a casual. Yeah. And then I was there for the Meg. It's the exact same experience, though.
Oh, yeah, you did the Meg on the water. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And okay. Do you like going to the movies, or do you like staying home watching Netflix, Hulu, Amazon? What's your choice?
I would say Netflix probably, because I really love going to the movies for movies that I'm excited about. But I found that I have so many issues with the audience being rude that it just kind of wears on me. So being able to kind of control my environment with Netflix is really nice.
Yeah, my husband was saying he went to see The Quiet Place. I didn't go with him to that one, but he said the audience ruined it for him. Did you have a good audience for that one?
I was at the Draft House, so the audience was pretty silent, but the waiters were going back and forth, and it's a very visual movie because it's silent. So having them kind of like walking in front of you, it's like I definitely missed a couple scenes, so that kind of sucked too.
Least favorite movie right now, or just something that you cannot watch ever again?
Okay, so the most recent movie that I saw in theaters that I didn't like was Guardians of the Galaxy 2, because I feel like the first one had my expectations so high, and I just didn't like the storyline of the second one.
Yeah, I agree. I think they did it. It was really bad. I mean, it wasn't really bad. Yeah. It just, I feel like I didn't like the whole dad storyline that was weird, and he was supposed to be like the mega... Kurt Russell's character was supposed to be this like mega person, and I feel like they just didn't treat it that. I don't know. It just felt really.
He went down pretty easy for an all-powerful being. Yeah, I feel you. Now this is kind of a hot take though, because I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy is the golden child of the Marvel Cinematic Universe in a lot of ways, and of course, there's been a lot of controversy surrounding that particular franchise. Do we think that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is in jeopardy? What do y'all think?
I think that Disney has kind of put themselves in a really tough place because it was James Gunn's vision. But with how weak the second one was, I don't even know that how excited I would have been about the third one either way. So, I mean, to me, I don't have a lot riding on it.
Yeah, I mean, Dave Bautista said he's not going to come back. Like, he's really adamant about it. So if he did come back, I'd be like, hey, you said you weren't going to come back. Like, what the hell?
And Drax is one of the greatest characters.
I know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So I know you're a big podcast listener, but you've covered a lot of Shuffle events, concerts, music. So do you prefer one or the other?
Right now, for the past, I guess, year or two, definitely been really, really into podcasts and finding new podcasts and listening to them while I work or ride the bus or whatever. So the only time I would pick music is like when I really have to concentrate, if I'm writing or reading or something like that.
What's your favorite pod right now?
It's kind of hard. I have like maybe like a top 3.
I'll allow it.
My favorite murder, Keep It. And I'm going to say Aaron Minky's Cabinet of Curiosities.
Yes.
I was browsing Amazon yesterday and I saw Lore. I almost watched it, but I wasn't sure it was going to be too scary. So I was also by myself, so I was like,
It will be spooky, but you must check it out.
It's a little bit more like watching like reenactments of like historical stuff, so it's not as scary as like a horror movie.
I don't know why, but as I've gotten older, I really don't like the reenactments. I really want to see either a movie version or the real documentary footage kind of thing.
Well, a lot of it's from like the 1700s, so you're not going to find that.
Yeah, obviously.
So, but I mean, and they have like legit actors in those, so it's not like a soap opera reenactment.
Awesome.
So, Jackie, what gets you hype?
Can I say sleeping?
Yes.
Because when it is like getting late and I know that I can go to bed soon, that's a great feeling. And that is the most boring answer, but
No, it's the most true answer, though, honestly. Like, there is nothing more attractive to me in my home than when my partner, like, picks up the laptop and gets off the couch and it's like, oh, yes, YouTube in bed. Here we go.
I don't know. Mine is, well, I think I said eating on my answer, but also knowing when I'm going to go to sleep that I can have the fresh hot coffee in the morning. Like, I'm like, yay, I'm one step closer to getting coffee in the morning. It's silly. All right, we're just going to close with sort of a God question, but, you know, we're staying away from religious stuff. So if you died and went to wherever you're going to go, what movie world would you want to wake up in? And who would you want to be, you know, aka God, or basically a movie character you want to meet in the afterlife?
So both answers are Mary Poppins, because I've just like admired that character since I was pretty young, and Julie Andrews is obviously amazing, and now Emily Blunt is going to take the handle. But yeah, that, and then that world, whether it's like the real life London or the animated world that they jump into, it's really fun.
Oh, that's a good answer.
Very wholesome.
All right, so we're going to jump into our TV talk. We always start out with movies, so we're going to kind of shift and do TV first.
I'll be here.
Cait will be chiming in from time to time. So the Emmys happened this Monday, which is weird. Is this the first time it's been on a Monday?
Yeah, I think they did it because of Sunday Night Football, but there's not a whole lot of crossover in those audiences, maybe. So it was very weird.
Man, they're really striving for every single person they can get.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my God. So obviously diversity is a big topic nowadays, and the Oscars kind of tried to do a little bit of the diversity in the presenters and what they were doing with the show. The Emmys really went head on. Did you like what they did, or do you think, I felt like it bordered on like a parody, and it wasn't, I think it was like too soon, like hashtag too soon.
Yeah, like I did like the opening number because it was so self-aware. And it was like, yeah, we're going to like point out that we really had to get one of each or whatever it was. But yeah, I had read something somewhere that someone was saying, like, you know, they were so self-aware right at the very beginning, and then they just like nosedived into the opposite of that.
Yeah, I just read the article. I don't know if we read the same one, but it was like the first 10 awards went to white winners.
Yeah. So, yeah, and it was just, it felt like very like awkward and stilted sometimes. Yeah,
and then I feel like when the hosts Colin Jost and Michael Che that are from Saturday Night Live, when they did their monologue after that, Keenan and Cait from also SNL, that song and dance, and then they came on and did the monologue, and then they were like, they would pan to the audience, and then they were all just like cringing, like they didn't want to be any part of it, just because now all reactions to any joke is kind of what is it? Not taboo. Like they're just like, everyone is so like, it felt really tense. Like no one wanted to like laugh at the wrong joke or anything like that.
Yeah, and I just don't think that Colin Jost and Michael Che were the right choices. They didn't feel like they had as much chemistry or anything like that. So, yeah, I would have preferred to see, I don't know, at least one woman do something. And there were a lot of good pair-ups for the presenters. And it was like okay, well, you could have chosen any of those people as well.
Yeah, that's so funny, right? They're trying to do diversity, and then they should have chosen a woman of color, or they should have done, Kate McKinnon and Kenan Thompson were awesome. They could have done that. Yeah, and I don't really like Michael Che and Colin Jost as the SNL, what is it? What's
Weekend
their
Update.
Yeah, sometimes they're like really just, I don't know. It's either really cheesy or just off the mark. But I did like one segment that Michael Che did, though, the reparations Emmys. Mm-hmm. That was it was sad and also, but nice, I guess, that he highlighted Black actors that influenced him and influenced a bunch of other people, even though they didn't win Emmys. It was kind of shining a light on people who've impacted people, not necessarily won awards. But
yeah. A couple of those interactions also felt really awkward to me, but I was like, this isn't like for me, so fine.
Yeah. Did you catch any of the Emmys, Cait, at all?
No, I was in a screening for The Old Man and the Gun at the time, so I didn't get to experience any of it, until I got out and was checking the Twitter sphere. Yeah, the only thing that I can add is that one of my law school classmates hooked up with Michael Che when she lived in New York.
Oh, really?
I know literally nothing else about that encounter, but that's what I can say about Michael Che.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. So we're just going to talk a little bit about the winners. Segue. Marvelous Mrs. Maisel won 8 Emmys, and me and Jackie have both watched it. I watched it twice. I watched it when it came out. I binged it, and then I just watched it again recently, and it was still the most amazing thing.
Yeah. I mean, I used to watch Gilmore Girls growing up, and then just a year or two ago I watched Bunheads, so I've been kind of keeping track of Amy Sherman-Palladino, and Marvelous Mrs. Maisel is easily the best thing that the Palladinos have done.
What's Bunheads?
It was at the time ABC Family, but now Freeform. It was a one-season show that was like about this
that was the ballet
woman,
one, right?
Yeah, this woman who like goes and teaches like this ballet school. It was the weakest of the 3 shows, I would say.
And then just a few more things on the Emmys. What did you think about that proposal by the director of the Oscars, who won an Emmy for directing the Oscars, in his speech? Did you know when he was going to do that?
It like definitely when he was like, I don't want to call you my girlfriend, I was like, oh my God, this is happening. And I actually clapped, as embarrassing as that is. I was sitting in my living room and I clapped. But it was very cute and like very wholesome. And it was like really in the moment, which, I mean, he didn't know he was going to win. I assume he would have proposed either way, but not on such a big stage. So I thought it was really cute, and I'm glad she said yes.
Yeah, I think he said if he didn't win, he was going to do it at In-N-Out Burger after the awards.
Preferable, honestly. That's my number one fear as a person in a serious relationship, is like a very public proposal. Like, yeah, I get anxiety thinking about it. Next topic.
I would not want it for me, but they're in the entertainment industry, so I assume they're used to big gestures and all of that.
Well, when Matthew Rhys won for the Americans and Kerry Russell's his partner, he said on his acceptance speech that she said, "You better not friggin' propose to me."
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, because also it should have been her night too, right?
Oh, but I must say, I love Claire Foy. I've watched The Crown 3 times already. I can't wait for the 3rd season. So, I mean, she's so good as Queen Elizabeth II. But that one was a tight race. I haven't seen Eve, though, or was it Killing Eve? Yeah.
I don't know that I've seen any of the shows that were nominated in that category, but what I've heard is that they're all really great. So, I mean, that's a stacked category. That's what happens.
Yeah, that's why I feel I was disappointed with the show and how they presented all the awards, because I feel like the Oscars has been kind of, who's going to win in some ways, leading up, all the awards leading up to the, because they go through all like the Spirit Awards, Independent, whatever. And then so you basically know the front winner sometimes, or most of the time, like the last few years. But this one, it's so good, like all the TV nominees. And I felt like they didn't do a good service to the winners.
Yeah. I mean, the Oscars, with the exception of La La Land, which they made a joke of course, at the Emmys. Yeah. So, I don't know.
Any other moments you liked from or you cringed at?
Honestly, it was just kind of a forgettable like show. I can't think of anything that really stood out. I will say, so this is really weird, but when Alex Borstein gave her speech, she said, like, women, if you sit when you go to the bathroom, we all can sit. And I really felt that because I use a lot of public restrooms, and I'm like, this is such a messy thing. Like, people try and, maneuver their way around it. And I was like, it's crazy that an actress got up there and said that. Yeah, and she said, to my father, the only man that has loved and supported me, which was really awkward. And her ex-husband was one of the actors on Gilmore Girls.
Well, because she was actually going to be Melissa McCarthy's character, but she couldn't do it because of another role or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and she's, what's Family Guy voice? She's the mom.
Lois.
She's Lois. She won an Emmy for that. So she won too then during this Emmys or whatever.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about Game of Thrones? Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, it was nice that Peter Dinklage won because he's really great. Mm-hmm. And I really did not expect it to win Best Drama because I feel like people have been feeling like it was a lot weaker over the past couple of years.
It's such a cultural powerhouse, though. Like, everyone has seen Game of Thrones. Everybody is hyped for Game of Thrones.
I also feel that, yeah, it may have been weaker, but I think Lost laid the foundation for kind of the intricate, complicated stories on TV. But then this one's taken it to the next level where every episode is a freaking movie in some ways with the special effects and visual effects and what they've been able to do with all the crazy plot lines and things like that. So I feel like it deserves it just because of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say because it just depends on what you're looking for. And I mean, Game of Thrones has won so many things so many times that it's like, I don't know, maybe we should give something else a chance. It's going to be gone next year anyway. So also, Henry Winkler finally won an Emmy. I think his first. I didn't do any research. But he won it for Barry, which I also have not seen but heard has been great. And it was just really refreshing to see someone who's been in the industry so long and seems like such a great person to like win an award that they deserve. And the people around him were really happy for him. And Ron Howard was there and everything. So it's been really cool to see that.
Well, I think that's it on the Emmys. Yeah. Till next year.
And so, of course, in addition to all the other cool stuff that we've been doing, we have been gearing up hard for Fantastic Fest, which at time of recording starts tomorrow, you guys. And already, before festival has even started, we've been hitting the screeners. We've been hitting the interviews. We're going to be churning out that content. Y'all better be following us or you are going to miss it.
On shuffleonline.net.
On shuffleonline.net. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
I have nothing to add.
Yes, you do, Jackie. You've got plenty to add. What are some of the movies that you are most looking forward to at this year's fest?
So one of the ones I'm looking forward to is Hold the Dark. I am a huge fan of Green Room, and Jeremy Saulnier his newest movie is Hold the Dark, and it stars Jeffrey Wright. And he is really great. I mostly know him from the Hunger Games trilogy, which is very weird. And I think it's going to be on Netflix, which is really nice also, that we kind of all will get to watch it kind of soon. But yeah, that's probably like my number one looking forward to this kind of movie.
What's that one about?
It is like a girl disappears and Jeffrey Wright is like a wolf tracker or something, and then it's like in the wilderness in the north. I'm not sure of any details, but it sounds like it could be pretty suspenseful.
And okay, so Jackie, is there anything that you are currently covering for Shuffle that you're super stoked on?
I watched a movie called Bloodline, which I can't speak of, but it has Sean William Scott, which is really different because obviously we're used to seeing him in comedies. And this is a pretty straight up horror movie. And I'll be doing an interview with the director and writer of that one. So that's pretty exciting. And then we're going to try to see Overlord, which stars Wyatt Russell, Kurt Russell's son, and that'll be really exciting as well.
So what are you looking forward to, Cait?
So much, you guys. I get to start Fantastic Fest on a truly fantastic note. I'm going to be attending the premiere of Halloween tomorrow, which I'm super, super stoked on. I'm so excited. I got my confirmation like 2 hours ago, and it was the highlight of my young life. Aside from that, some of the other films that I'm looking forward to is Bad Times at the El Royale. I'm a sucker for that sort of thing. It looks really good.
I watched Predator, and during the previews, it was really interesting what Bad Times at the El Royale was doing. They did a small clip in the beginning, just like doing an intro to Dakota, what's her last Dakota Johnson. So they did one little clip of her from the movie, and then they did a trailer, like a full-length trailer. And then after that trailer, then they did like a Chris Hemsworth little clip, and then they did another trailer, and then they did another clip of El Royale. And so I thought that was a really interesting. I had never seen that before, where they split little clips before the preview. I thought that was really good, and I felt like that was a good sign of the movie. I think my roommate had been talking about it, how they kept seeing it over and over like a commercial, but it was different clips, and I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, what they're doing with the marketing for that film really is quite interesting, and I have been enamored since first teaser. I love the look, I love the period, I love John Hamm, and it looks like he's kind of doing his best Don Draper impression, which is my favorite kind of John Hamm. Chris Hemsworth is looking like a culty Jesus, and I'm kind of into that too. So I'm super excited about what that one has to offer, and it's always really exciting whenever you see something. And I don't want to be presumptuous and say like, oh, it's definitely going to do well mainstream. But when you get that festival access and that hype just kind of builds and builds and builds, it doesn't matter at what point you're actually seeing the movie. I think it has the momentum to just really carry that feeling, you know?
Yeah, and I think people at TIFF generally liked it, and that's a nice sign kind of going into it, because TIFF was very recent. And I have not seen any promotional materials besides like one photo of the cast. But I just get really excited about the idea of like 7 strangers are brought together and there's a mystery, and like that kind of stuff is super up my alley.
Yeah, and I really like what Chris Hemsworth's doing now. He's taking his choices after Thor and trying to get out of that superhero phase, and I think he's doing well by taking on this role.
He's kind of doing his best McConaughey. Am I like the only one who thinks that? Where he's like, he's not afraid to get a little dingy and a little dirty. Like he's a hunk genuine, but he's kind of not afraid to get ugly and raw for a role.
Yeah, he's trying to get away from taking his shirt off all the time, or the equivalent of taking his shirt off all the time.
But he still was really funny in Ghostbusters.
Yeah, I loved
so
him.
Good.
Yeah, I think hopefully people will. Hopefully he'll keep it going.
I like that he and John Hamm both like kind of became notorious for their good looks, but they're also both really, really funny, and they take advantage of the comedy world too.
And actually, something that really surprised me that I got to screen a couple days ago was I watched Cam, and that's another film that is going to be distributed by Netflix. That was a Blumhouse production, which, you know, is kind of a hit or miss whenever it comes to horror. Like, for every good film, they have one where you're like, really? So I was a little trepidatious going into that screening, but I was so pleasantly surprised, and it's probably, like, the film I'm rooting the most for. I want people to enjoy it as much as I did.
What was that one about? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
So Cam is about a cam girl, and it's kind of a horror thriller setup film, but this cam girl is kind of a rising star in her field, and she experiences the all too familiar existential horror of being locked out of her account, except it gets a lot more sinister than that when a lookalike of her starts streaming videos from her account, and like, what is going on? And what I really appreciate about it, it's a great mystery, and honestly, kind of going back to the whole Blumhouse hit or miss point, which I think is a very important point to consider with this movie, it had the opportunity to be really dumb, and it had the opportunity to be really predictable, and I'm the kind of uppity person where it's like, oh, I know it's going to happen, and I pride myself on being able to do that, especially with horror. But this film had so many legitimate surprises. It knew its source material so well, because that's another thing, and like, this will all be in my review, but y'all are special, so I'm just going to kind of point some of this out now. One of the things that I struggle with so much in modern filmmaking is people want to take advantage of things like technology and social media, but it ends up not translating well into film. There are a lot of films that try to do that where I don't like it. It doesn't fit the narrative well. Cam did such a good job knowing the material, knowing what kind of the world of the internet is like, and very seamlessly putting that online world and the real world together in a film. I just really liked it. And I love being surprised by a film because I think I know everything, and it's nice to know sometimes that I don't.
And I have not watched it, but I think that it's pretty powerful to legitimize like sex work, kind of.
Well, and that is such an important point, Jackie. Thank you for bringing that up. The writer of this film is actually a former sex worker. And so, you're absolutely right that it does. I mean, we could do a whole other podcast episode on how, contemporary and historical media has treated the sex worker. And so this film does mark a very interesting point at where we're at in terms of that narrative.
Yeah. I'm excited to watch it too.
It's a good one.
And then also just going back to Halloween, I know, Jackie, you're a big Jamie Lee Curtis fan. Can you talk a little bit about if you're going to, well, you're not going to watch it now, but.
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with waiting until October because I'll be in that kind of spooky spirit, which I already am, let's be real, but even more so. Yeah, I mean, Halloween was probably the first or second horror movie I ever saw when I was a kid because my mom really loved it. And I just realized a couple of years ago that I relate so strongly to like Laurie Strode. Like I'm the bookish one. Like I'm the friend that's like babysitting on a Friday night. I think that she's been so great throughout her career, and it's great to see her being able to kind of choose the roles that she wants to be in, and seeing her excited about this, new Halloween that, builds off the first one, but is kind of restarting the whole myth, and having her be like this really strong person, and even as a final girl, like she was realistic. She was scared, but she fought because she knew that was the right thing to do. And I think Jamie Lee Curtis is kind of the same person in real life. Like she seems really cool, and she seems to like fight for what she believes in. And it's nice to see an aging actress that isn't treated like horribly.
Yeah, and I also feel she really embraces who she is, and yeah, she keeps it real.
Yeah, and there's a lot of actors who start in horror and then kind of are like look down on it, and she's never done that. And I think that's very cool that she's stuck with it.
Yeah. I think it's also a good sign. I mean, the reviews of people who have seen it already say it's really good, and it's like it's brought it into the modern age in a really good way. So I'm excited.
And just to make sure we're not leaving any of our listeners in the dust, for those of you that don't know, Fantastic Fest is the largest genre festival covering horror, sci-fi, fantasy. Its home is Austin, Texas. Its home is the Alamo Drafthouse, my personal church, you guys. It is a great festival. It brings in just some of the very best in the industry. And I'm super excited, and Jackie is as well. This is our first time in the field, man. Like, we've been admiring from afar, like a lover we've yearned for, and we finally get to embrace you guys. Kat, we're leaving you at home, but you're going to be supporting us big time, yes?
Yes, I will. I'll be getting to edit and post all your content and making sure it's up on shuffleonline.net. So I've been to Fantastic Fest the last 2 years, so I'm excited for you guys to experience it, and maybe you'll see Elijah Wood in there. I got to see him last year with Leonard Maltin. But me and Jackie, even though it's her first Fantastic Fest, she's been with me throughout a bunch of festivals, so we're not new to the festival circuit. But Cait is, so this is her first major festival she's covering for Shuffle.
Be gentle with me. It's my first time.
Yeah. So do you have any tips for Cait on her first festival?
Okay, so festivals are a very big party atmosphere, kind of, especially because it's a lot of the same people coming every year, a lot of the same journalists. They're all friends. They all know each other from online. Making sure that you are drinking water is very important, because especially it's hot again here in Austin.
Yeah.
I mean, people are going to be drinking alcohol up and down, like just all day long. And obviously that's fine because it's a festival. Who cares? But yeah, hydrating is a big one.
Yeah, make sure you bring your chapstick. And this is also for all our listeners who may be going to Fantastic Fest as well, not just Cait, but
or any festival. I mean, yeah, like music festivals, movie festivals, they all kind of carry the same responsibilities with them. Being prepared for like anything is really good. Having a portable cell phone charger is the number one thing when you're covering a festival, because there will not always be outlets.
Yeah, and also make sure to charge that extra charger before, because it takes like 8 hours to charge. Yeah, we've been through all of it, and take an extra towel for the sweating, maybe an extra shirt if you're going to be there all day.
And deodorant.
Yeah, deodorant.
Another thing is that if you're going to be working on reviews or interviews or whatever it is, bringing a laptop so you can work on it in between screenings and interviews and whatever else, then you were spending less time at home working on it.
Yeah, and also sometimes you'll be working on you'll be working on your computer and you just look up and there is a celebrity, so try to keep cool. Try to, act normal, because in Texas, I feel like people act more normal. They don't try to get all the photos. But sometimes if you're early, you can maybe go, and you're brave enough, you can go ask for a photo.
The celebrities in Austin are generally chill because of the atmosphere.
Okay, so stay hydrated, stay cool, don't stink. Got it.
Yeah, I mean, because you don't want to embarrass yourself either, especially if there is a celebrity. That would be horrible.
Yeah, that would be awful.
I mean, towards the end of the festival, I think sometimes we really don't care. I have my hair up. It's just like, I probably smell. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it can be hard to get the right amount of sleep, but I mean, you just got to do your best.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. Definitely. But it's going to be good. You can report back on how it went.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really excited about it. Balls to the walls. Let's fucking do it. But I understand that you guys have some war stories of times that shit got real at the festivals, and that's what I'm really interested in hearing, and I'm sure the listeners are as well.
Yeah, so we've been doing festivals together for the past 2 years. We've done South by Southwest, which is a big film festival, music festival, interactive panels, tech. So we've done some red carpets. Red carpets are a little bit tricky because you only get 2 questions if you blank out, or if you are not quick enough, or if the person's just not cooperating, the talent, I mean. It can be a little crash and burn. I had one instance where I got to interview one of my kid idols, which is Bill Nye the Science Guy. And one thing you have to also remember is that they hear stories from fans all the time. So even though they mean a lot to you, doesn't mean they want to necessarily hear it. And so my mom was a science teacher, and Bill Nye, she would record Bill Nye all the time. So I felt like I knew him and he was part, like a friend. And so I started talking about my mom, and I started getting really teary, and he was just like, so do you have a question? and I was on Facebook Live holding the phone, and I was like, oh yeah. And then I asked like the stupidest question, and I only had one question with him, and that was it. And that was my Bill Nye experience. And I felt really horrible after that, and still haunts me to this day.
We can all only hope that kind of thing never happens. But, they're people and we're people. So there's bound to be mistakes. And in fact, mine went a little bit better than that, slightly. For one, I was not on a live video stream.
I'm cringing so hard over here, you guys.
Yeah, when we did Austin Film Festival, we got a red carpet with the director who did a documentary that Dan Rather was a producer on. And as someone who went to journalism school, I obviously am a big fan of Dan Rather and all his work. And I was in the middle of interviewing them and just blanked and said, oh, I've forgotten my question. But luckily, Dan Rather reached over and patted me on the shoulder and said, don't worry, it happens to me all the time. So he was very understanding and did not embarrass me further. But I will never forget that. And it was awful in the moment and is hilarious now.
Yeah, but he was so sweet about it. At least it wasn't like, what's your question, after you like pour your heart out.
So, like I said, mine's way better, but it's also just this horrible, embarrassing memory for me.
But we have had some really good times and some really good red carpet experiences and interviews that have gone really well. And one of those is we got to interview Greg Cassian. He's from the movie Quest, and that was at Austin Film Festival last year, 2017. And he was I don't know how.
I think he was like 15, and he was also with the director Santi Rizzo.
Yeah, but he was just the sweetest just kid, and we like creepily had a crush on him afterwards because he was just so genuine. And
Yeah, I mean, he felt like he was very like natural already, even just being a teenager.
yeah, like he hasn't been coached.
Yeah, it was like he was very like mature, but he answered very honestly. So it was kind of refreshing to see something like that.
And then also I got to interview David Arquette from Amanda and Jacko Glamping. That was the film he was there for at Austin Film Festival 2017. And it did have, bringing it back to food, one of the actors from that movie, Gustavo Gomez, I got to interview him, and he lived in Austin for a bit, and I don't know what we were talking about, and the conversation came back to tacos, as it usually does with me, and he knew the exact, like, my favorite taco stand on Riverside in Austin, Texas, and that the green salsa was the best. So that was fun.
I'm going to start lobbying for red salsa at Fantastic Fest. That's my new mission, you guys. I'm going to come back with a list of celebrities who prefer red salsa.
Yeah, but I mean, sometimes you just have to crash and burn, and you're going to have those highs and lows with when you're interviewing people. Sometimes, I mean, at least it didn't get viewed a lot of times. Maybe you guys will go see it now, but
In a way, that makes it a lot sadder. It's like, I really fucked up, but like, no one saw it.
No one watched it. Okay, I'm sorry. I can't handle this. I mean, as with any job, but especially when you're talking to people and talking to people on camera when you're a nervous person, yeah, there's going to be ups and downs. And luckily, we've had a lot more positive experiences than negative ones.
yeah, and I also feel, I mean, just interviewing people, especially filmmakers and actors and actresses, they're definitely, you can kind of run into some people who are either very talkative or they're very shy, so you have to be prepared. So I think we've just gotten way better at really pulling those answers and making sure we get the, that good content from people who are not necessarily as good as talking about it. I don't know, it's just really interesting doing what we do.
It takes all sorts.
Yeah, and it's just really nice when you get an interview with someone who's like clearly passionate about the project they've worked on and that everyone's seeing for the first time.
Yeah, that's why I'm really adamant about people learning a little bit more about movies before they just bash it, even the mainstream ones, just because someone did put their heart and soul into it, and it just didn't come out the way they wanted, or people didn't receive it the way. But when you talk to people, and even if their movie's not what you like, when you talk to them and get to know about their process and where they've come from, and if it's their first film or just their first acting gig, it's really nice to kind of hear that experience. So yeah, that's what we kind of bring on Shuffle Online. All right, so we're going to end it on a happy nostalgia note. So you just saw Old Man and a Gun, which is Robert Redford's last film acting in a film.
Yeah, that was, wow, like a really emotional experience. So yeah, on Monday, which was a couple days before date of recording, I attended a critics only screening of The Old Man and the Gun, and yes, that marks Robert Redford's retirement from acting. And I mean, I've been in love with him since Barefoot in the Park, and I mean, just what an incredible career. And of course, by the time you're listening to this, you will actually still be waiting on that review because it has a very limited release coming up, and I'm under very strict rules not to talk too much about it or to say anything or print anything. But yeah, I kind of struggle to talk about it almost because the film focuses on the lifelong adventure and career of an individual. It's based on a true story. And I think it is such a fitting send-off. And of course, Robert Redford has starred in some of my all-time favorite films. He holds this place of nostalgia in my heart, as a film buff. He is one of the creators that I respect the most. And so to be there to experience his farewell to acting, to being in front of the camera, just really, really kind of a indescribable experience and just a good movie. That was the one thing I was really worried about, is like, oh, what's the payoff going to be? It's very good. It's very good, and I highly recommend it, and I can't wait for y'all to read about it and to watch it. Tell us what you think, man. I want to emote with someone.
Well, that's really great to hear that it was at least a good send-off.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing to look back on a career, and especially a career like Robert Redford's, like Jackie mentioned earlier with Harry Winkler, like it's just so good. It's so good to see a creator that really deserves it get that recognition, have that perfect farewell, that perfect career moment. Jackie, do you have any favorite Robert Redford films?
I've actually only seen 2 of his films. All the President's Men, which, for obvious reasons, as I mentioned earlier, journalism school and all that, I really enjoyed that. And 1984's The Natural, which is about baseball. And I remember really enjoying that one, but I only saw it once years ago. So I don't remember too much about it. Another movie of his that I wanted to see but never have seen is Truth, where he ironically plays Dan Rather. So...
Yeah, but I would almost recommend, as I ponder The Old Man and the Gun, I think it would be such a rewarding experience to work your way backwards through Redford's acting career, because he has had such a diverse career, and, you know, he's been working since he was young and pretty to now that he's old and pretty. And so I think that would be super fun. Like, as I'm sitting here thinking about it, I think I'm going to do that. I might report back on that.
Yeah, so I really loved him in The Horse Whisperer and Indecent Proposal. I've seen him in The Great Gatsby because I love The Great Gatsby. And I saw it after I watched the newer one with Leonardo DiCaprio, and then I went back and watched his, and I think I liked his better.
Oh, I think the original is so much better. Like, no tea, no shade, no pink lemonade on the remake, but Redford just has such a subtle elegance about him that, you know, and honestly, and like now I feel like I'm bashing DiCaprio, but I don't care. It's something very unique to him. He kind of straddles that space between like the old Hollywood and the contemporary. He just has that look. He's both timeless and able to transition to the contemporary well.
Well, I mean, it's his last role, so we gotta praise him.
I praise him much.
All right, so I guess that wraps us up. Do you want to take us out, Cait?
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for shuffling along with us. We're going to shuffle on out of here. As always, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for reviewing. We love hearing from you guys. We love it when you say hi. As always, we have a couple of shout outs to those who support us and make it all possible. So, real quick, Jay from So Many Shows, Mike from Pop Culture Review, So I'm Watching This Show, and the Lady Pod Squad, and Permanent Record Studios, of course, and our wonderful partners, and Jackie for being here. We love having you. Come back often. Thanks so much, you guys.
Shuffle out.